What is up, everybody? Sysadmin Sean here, and today we're going to be doing a YouTube research algorithm video just because I wanted to try something different. But basically, apparently, a lot of folks are searching for a day in the life of a system administrator. So I'm going to do that laid out via a calendar. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an actual full week's worth, but we'll break it down day by day and kind of show you the consistency that I like to keep, as well as what happens when you don't get to keep that consistency. So first thing we're going to start off with is we get up at around 6:30 and that goes until around 7 a.m. And that is wake up and walk Chickawa. Chickawa is our daily, there we go, save. Chickawa is our Great Pyrenees. We walk around Saturday too. She's our big dog. She's actually in here with me right now, but I can't move the camera very easily to show her off. But every morning she wakes us up at about 6:30 and it is time to go for a walk. And we go do our walks early in the morning so that she doesn't get distracted, because that's what dogs do. And then from around 7 to 7:30 is going to be breakfast and morning prep. So I get up, get a shower, shave some days, eat breakfast, obviously, and get ready for work. And then we drive to work. We start about 8 o'clock. So from 8 to 9:30 is first work session. So this is going to be checking email, checking tickets, and, anything from last night. And we'll do this daily too. This is every day. So usually you get in early in the morning, you get in about 8, maybe say hi to some coworkers if you're in the office, or, you log into Teams and say hey to people. The first thing I like to do is I like to check all my emails. So I want to make sure that any emails I got after 5 p.m. the day before, I have responded to, or at least found out that I need to respond to them. Any alerts emails that came through, like licensing, SSL certs, any hardware issues, backup issues, things like that. I go through those emails first. I create tickets for things that need to have tickets made, and get all my email cleared out for the morning. That takes usually 20-30 minutes, depending on how many emails I've got. And then I go through my ticket queue. So we run a ticket system, and a lot of communication happens through those tickets. It's very critical that we communicate through tickets so that we have a tracked work log, et cetera, et cetera. But I go through all my tickets, see if any of my customers have reached back out and said, hey, I do need help with this, or no, this is all fixed now, thank you, you can close the ticket. And I get the start of my ticket queue cleaned up. I'll also look through the new ticket queue, but I won't really touch that too much just yet, because the last thing I do is I will check on anything we were working on the night before that we maybe set to start late in the evening and should have been done by the morning, so that we could move on to our next step, like maybe a giant storage vMotion, or maybe a big data copy, or something like that, or a project where we're like, well, we need to reboot that, and we'll check it in the morning. So we'll reboot it late in the evening, we'll check it in the morning, do all that. And then that gets us to about 9:30 to 10. This is going to be meeting one of the day. Meeting number one is usually the team stand-up meeting. We all get together, we kind of cut up for a little bit, we talk about what we're working on for the day, anything that's been coming up that you need help with, or need to reach out to somebody else on, or don't really know what to do. Like maybe you picked up a ticket thinking you're like, oh, I know how to do that, and then you get into it and you're like, that's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, so I need to ask somebody. So that's when that kicks off, and that goes until 10. And then usually there's a dead spot between 10 and 10:30. And then twice a week between 10:30 and 11, and it never goes this long, we have change review. And you can have change review anytime. A lot of places have it daily. Like I said, we have it twice a week. Pretty much just going through our changes, checking things, so that's marked off on my calendar. So that kind of puts a weird little block here for me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that's just part of it. And then the next part is we get to 11. Now at 11 o'clock, I like to take lunch. So 11 to 12 is lunch for me. And I highly recommend, if you're not doing this, you need to earmark your lunchtime on your calendar. If you're a new sysadmin or an old sysadmin, calendars are becoming way more important. People are actually starting to use scheduling tools to see people's free busy, which is a blessing. But that also means you need to clearly define your time in your calendar, or else you're going to end up with a meeting during lunch. Guaranteed. Everyone wants to schedule stuff between 11 and 12 and 12 and 1. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't want to just eat their lunch, but they always want to interrupt my lunch. But if I schedule that I have something between 11 and 12 and it's lunch, they can't take that block. Now, if there's an emergency, I can obviously move that. It's flexible. But earmark it beforehand. Give yourself that time to decompress, to walk away, to breathe. I take a walk at lunch and then I get some food and come back and just continue working. But not everybody can do that. And they definitely can't do that if this isn't blocked off. They don't give themselves this hour because that's your time. Give it back to yourself to do these things. It's so important to do. So we've gone to lunch. 12 to 1 for me is usually work time and usually a lot of other people's lunchtime. I try not to schedule any meetings at 12 to 1. I refuse to do that. So this is more project tickets, planning, documentation, improvements, right? And I usually get between 12, let's do 12 to 2. That's pretty average, but not always. This is how I would dream it to be out. And really, I need to delete all these. They're going to throw me off. So between 12 and 2, I'm usually trying to go through new tickets again, double check anything I hadn't gotten a response on, but then got a response on, go through my email again. I always check my email. I leave it open all the time, so if I get a notification, I see it. But otherwise, I check it once in the morning, once after lunch, and then once right before I leave work at the end of the day. I don't always do anything with it if I get it at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I don't touch it. That can wait until the morning. I give myself one business day to respond to emails. If I drag out an email longer than one business day, I'm being irresponsible and I feel a little bit disrespectful. But that's a personal thing that I put on myself. I try to encourage my team to do the same thing, but there's no set rules for that kind of stuff where we work. So I would just prefer that they do that, but they don't have to. It's not a requirement. But I do kind of harp on it a lot. I say, at least send something within one business day if it's an email. And if it's an email that should be a ticket, we usually just instantly make it a ticket, unless it's a repeat offender. And then I might politely remind them that we do have a ticketing system that they should use in case I was out of the office and they would have been waiting multiple days. And that usually makes them go, oh yeah, my bad. And then they'll kick off a ticket real quick. So no big deal. 2 to 3 is usually meeting number 2 of some sort or another. And that is most often kind of like, let's see, can we do custom? Yeah. We'll do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which infuriates me to no end. That one, anybody would put a meeting on Friday at 2 in the afternoon, that would go an hour to 3, because this becomes the useless time in the world. This is dead air, super dead air on Fridays from 3 to 5. You're not getting anything done. You're not getting a hold of anybody. It's just how it is. But meeting number 2 is going to be discussion on any new projects, reviewing anything that's become an issue, any sort of major situations that have gone on, things like that. And then 3 to 5 is, again, just more knocking it out. Tickets, docs, planning, slow changes. So I say that because if you make a change on Friday between 3 and 5 p.m., you are almost guaranteed to cause yourself to have to work on the weekend. So this one is way more documentation. Really, Friday should be called read-only Friday, and you don't do anything but documentation. That's not what happens, but that's what should happen. Usually you just don't get the time. Now, as you can see, this is a pretty packed schedule, but there's a lot of variety. So let's go ahead and let's see if I click one of these and color it purple, will it color them? Yeah, this and all following events. And if I do this, we make this purple. And then we go here and make this purple. So there alone is what? Hour and a half, another 2 hours. So that's 3.5, 5.5 hours of extremely flexible work time. This is not set in stone stuff, but this is stuff you're going to be doing every day. Your set in stone stuff are going to be your change review type meetings, your meeting number twos, any other project meetings, and your lunch. Set yourself up for lunch. Do not forget to do that. Another thing a lot of people forget to do that they should do is, let's see, improvement time. So let's give ourselves 30 minutes of straight improvement time on Thursday. So that's a time where you can put that in your calendar. You're set to busy or do not disturb. And that's something where you focus on learning a little bit or reviewing old documentation and making sure it's up to date. Something that's going to improve your workplace, whether that be something you create or something you fix or something you update. And it's really important to, again, give yourself that time. It's not taking it away from work. It's just keeping you from being interrupted when you're trying to focus. 30 minutes is probably a pretty good start, but you don't have to do 30 minutes. And some people will be fine with an hour or 2 hours. I'm not super strict on it. It's more of a how critical is everything else this week? And if it's not that critical, then we can maybe do a bigger improvement time area, right? Well, let's zoom this back out. That didn't get big the way I wanted it to. But anyway, that's kind of a day in the life of a sysadmin. It's really nothing super amazing, but that's the dream of a nice, consistent schedule. Here's what usually happens. Mondays, you get in, you're a little sluggish, you get slow, you maybe do work on email, way longer than you should be. And everything goes fine. And then right around 3 p.m., you get a random outage. Now, this could either last between 30 minutes because it's some silly thing that got hung up, a service that just needs to be restarted, or it's going to take you until 8:30 at night. And so you've burnt through the rest of your day and some of your evening only to maybe get to bed at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock to get back up at 6:30 to walk your dog, eat breakfast, and then get back to work and feel re-grogified. So you're already exhausted again on Tuesday. So then this is all good. You're kind of back in the groove. You're starting to get things. Maybe this meeting got canceled. And you're like, yeah, that meeting got canceled. I can work a little bit longer here in this hour. You eat lunch and then this happens and everything looks good. And then, well, let's say here you get a new meeting number 2. And since that ticket docs and planning isn't really a block, it's just there visually, well, that meeting is going to run till 4:30. And it turns out that meeting is a real critical thing that needs to be done yesterday. And they can't put tickets in because apparently they're C-level people, and C-level people just cannot be bothered to put in tickets. And so they just want all this done, and they don't care how you do it, and they don't give you any information that you need to do it. And then they just go, hurry, 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 I want it done. You go, okay, cool. So then that becomes the project that goes from 4:30 until 6. Maybe you work on it a little bit and you go, okay, that's good enough for tonight. They can have it in the morning. And then as soon as you get to work here, you're still on this project. Let's say it takes you until right up to your first meeting of the day. So you've gotten it all caught up. Then you have this meeting and everyone goes, is this done? Is this done? And you go, yes. And you give it to them and you feel like it's done. But then right around 3, you get a call. Hey, this isn't right. And that's going to go until 5:30 because for some reason, it's critical that it is done today. We don't know why. It just is. And you go, okay, I need more information. You ask and you ask and you ask, and then they finally find the piece of documentation they should have gave you here to get it done here, but now you have it here. And look what we've lost. We've lost that part of our checking email. We've lost this part of working on other tickets and projects and everything that was actually scheduled. That's all gone now. So that gets nuked. You can tell I'm a little salty. This happens way too often. And then you're good at 5:30. You're actually good. They check it. They're like, "That's awesome. Thank you very much. Cool. Glad this is all sorted." You're happy to just be done with it. You go home. You relax. You can enjoy yourself. You get sleep. You get to go home and you get to enjoy a nice night's sleep. It's Thursday. You're walking and rolling. You're bebopping along. You get to check your email, get your tickets. Everything's starting to get back into the swing of things. Everything's great. You're still good. And then Friday, you're like, yes, read only Friday. This is awesome. Cannot wait. I'm going to document all the things. I'm going to document all that emergency work I did so that we have it listed so we know what to do in case there's any problems while they're working with whatever they needed yesterday. And they go, well, we really don't need that now. And then you're just completely defeated. So you roll back all of this work. So that's gone. That's gone. All of this that you were called in to do, all of this time that was taken up for some random project that was needed yesterday gets wiped out. Or they go in another direction. They say, well, we're going to do it a different way instead. We've changed our minds. Okay, but I also lost that time to it. I lost all this time here that I could have been working on everything else that needs to be worked on. Thursday looked good. Friday looked good. But now I'm missing out on all this time that I could have had dedicated. And to make sure that this random outage doesn't ever happen again. This was probably just an automation task that needs to be taken care of. This was probably just somebody configured something that wasn't documented 15 years ago. And if it had been, this would have been a 5-minute outage instead of a 5-hour outage. That's where a sysadmin schedule starts to go insane. So you can have these wonderful days laid out all you want to, but I've got my critical time here, right? That's mine. You can't get that back. I'm not going to give up this lunch unless it is an emergency. It's got to be an all systems down type scenario before I give up this piece, because that is time that you will never get back. Now you can say, well, you went over 5 hours here. Don't you get comp time? Sure. But I couldn't take comp time Tuesday because the critical issue that needed to be done came up. And then maybe I got it done on Wednesday, I thought, and I said, well, I'll take Wednesday afternoon off. I'll just get it taken care of on Wednesday afternoon, or maybe I'll think about dropping it in on Friday afternoon. You know, one of those two. Well, if I'd put it on Wednesday afternoon, I would have lost it because somebody would have called and said, hey, this isn't working. And because it was a rush, only one person was involved. There wasn't a collaborative effort. Multiple people didn't know how it was set up or designed. So people were confused and you had to have the original person on there. If I'd taken it on Friday, it would have been fine. I might not have heard on Friday at 1 p.m. that they decided they wanted to change their mind to do something else and just ruined my entire weekend. So maybe it would have been best to take comp time on Friday, but you really got to roll with the punches when it comes to scheduling in the sysadmin world. I'm sure there are places that do it way better, and I'm sure that there are places that have had it way worse. You might also notice on here that I don't have an on-call rotation listing on this calendar. We don't do on-call where I currently work. I have worked in places where we do on-call. And usually on-call is, depending on how many people, 1 week out of a month. Maybe 2 weeks if for some reason someone's on vacation and you're covering for somebody and they're going to cover one of your weeks afterwards. Something like that. And then that would mean that from 5 p.m. every night, basically the whole week does not belong to you. You are not specifically engaged to wait, but usually you have to stay within a certain mileage distance of your data center. Usually you have to be able to respond to a phone call within 10 minutes, and then be able to get something started and rolling within a 2-hour time frame. Those were kind of some ways that I had seen it set up before. I've had it set up. But right now, because the majority of our mission critical systems are SaaS, we don't need on-call. It's really, really nice. We're able to focus on the projects that we are managing. We're able to improve those projects. We're able to check on them after hours if there is an issue. And we get to live our lives and enjoy evenings and nights, and our phones don't go off all the time. And we don't get text messages at 3 a.m. saying, oh my gosh, we can't get to the database. When really, it's probably not the database. But we don't even have to deal with those. We don't get those calls, and it's great. So that's why I don't have an on-call on here. So as you can see, that's kind of a day in the life of a sysadmin, but really it's a week in a sysadmin's life. And as you can see, we sort of completely chopped up this calendar and added a whole bunch of stuff to sort of show what happens to a week when you try to schedule it. It doesn't ever really work out. And all of that to say, that's just part of it. I don't think it would ever be perfect. Maybe it would be. Maybe if you worked in a big enough place where you had enough people that every person could focus on their specific duty instead of 8 different duties, this wouldn't be such a big deal. You would probably also have a really smooth workflow for everything. So when somebody requested something, there would be approval steps. And if they didn't give you all the information you needed, it wouldn't get approved. So it would go back to them, and it would be their problem to get you the information first, so that my Tuesday, Wednesday wouldn't have been deleted, which would have been great. And that random outage would have been taken care of by the second shift people who work at night while you work on the day. And there is no on-call because you have multiple shifts and there's enough people to go around. But not a lot of businesses can afford all those people. Or at least not a lot of businesses can say they can afford all those people. That's just how it is. But that's about it. That is a day in the life of a sysadmin. Let me know what your calendar is like if you're a new sysadmin or an old goat, whatever they want to call it, an old sysadmin. What's your schedule look like? Is it insane like this? Is it pretty smooth and streamlined? How much staff do you have that kind of let it be streamlined? What about your ITIL processes that protect your workers and make sure that they can have a nice schedule like this? But that's about it. If you liked the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And otherwise, we'll see you in the next one.